Hi, everybody. Joe Chaffee here. Weather in 5 days in 5 minutes. Back from a short vacation and coming up tonight on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast at 7:35 p.m. Eastern Time. Today's the last day of winter. No major storms across the United States. We have early spring freezes going on across the deep south, and really not much else as far as uh, storms are concerned. We'll talk about that, the outlook for the weekend and the long range tonight on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast at 7:35 p.m. Eastern Time. And to reinforce the idea of where the cold is, at least where it's going to have some impact, is across the Deep South, where we have a large area of freeze warnings up for tonight into Tuesday morning. Many of these areas will see temperatures down in the 20s. That's where the coldest air is going with this cool pattern that's developed in the eastern half of the United States. The west is quiet, no watches and warnings there. And we're starting out today. There's a weak low that's offshore, really not really of any consequence. And the bigger story is this cold, high pressure. Temperatures in the teens this morning over parts of the upper plain states. We've got 20s back through the Great Lakes, 30s extend down into parts of the Appalachians, down into the southern Appalachians. The colder air will come in later today as the cold front from the weekend has now pushed into the Gulf of Mexico. And as we take a look at the satellite view this morning, there's some patchy clouds that are streaming up from the southwest to northeast. You can see there's a little rotation going on back over the Great Lakes, and that's the upper trough that is swinging eastward. And as a result, we're seeing patches of lake effect snow across the Great Lakes into eastern Ohio, uh, western New York, north central New York. A lot of the areas that you see in the darker gray really not reaching the ground, not a whole lot in terms of anything heavy. We've got some precip aloft also moving through the southern Appalachians in North Georgia this morning into northern Alabama. And that's just about it as far as precipitation is concerned. A little bit of shower activity down in northern Florida, and also some scattered shower activity in parts of New Mexico into West Texas, and also down into South Texas, right near the Mexico border. The West is quiet and calm. As far as precipitation goes over the next 7 days, the next weather system of consequence comes later this week across the lower Gulf states and then maybe along the immediate East Coast over the weekend. We're going to have a low that's going to try to edge up northeastward up the East Coast. Hard to say whether that will wind up moving straight south to north or whether it winds up getting suppressed. Otherwise, precipitation looks to be mostly on the light side, with the exception being in the Pacific Northwest, where we've got areas of up to a couple of inches of melted precip, and of course in the Cascades and the Sierra Nevadas, that'll probably be in the form of snow, and some precip, 3/4 of an inch to an inch and a half in the western Great Lakes and in the upper Mississippi Valley. And as far as snow is concerned, today and tomorrow, with this upper trough moving through, we've got some high probabilities for at least a couple of inches in northwest Pennsylvania, western and southwestern New York, and up into central and north central northeastern New York, and Vermont into Vermont, northern New Hampshire, and into western Maine. This carries us right into Thursday morning in terms of the forecast period, but much of this comes today and tomorrow. And then as we look out in the west, at least through Thursday morning, there really isn't a whole lot there to worry about. So we're looking at the evolution of this trough in the east. This is how it played out over the weekend with the weather front that moved on through. Now we just have to wait for this to kind of play out, and it's going to take a little while. One shot Monday night and Tuesday morning. Then, as that pulls out, there's a sort of a second trough that comes in for Wednesday night and Thursday with another shot of colder air. And you see what's left of last week's storm system that dropped down into the southwest, brought heavy snows to some parts of uh, Colorado, eastern Utah, and Wyoming. That low got left behind, at least for now. Now it's going to get ejected eastward. And that's what we're looking at with regards to Friday night and Saturday in the eastern part of the United States. There's a northern system coming down too. So does it lift it up or does it wind up suppressing it to the southeast? I think that's really the big question. So overall this week, temperatures are going to average a little below normal. We're not talking about anything crazy cold here. Uh, Normal highs in eastern Pennsylvania to southern New England at this time of year, generally in the upper 40s to low 50s. Will be a little bit below that today and tomorrow, a little bit above that Wednesday because we've got a secondary front that'll be coming on through, and then a little bit below again Thursday and Friday. Now, the GFS wants to take this slow across the Gulf states and kind of lift it up the East Coast for Friday night and Saturday and brings it to Saturday morning and early afternoon with some rain, mainly along areas near the coast, not much being generated inland, perhaps a little bit of snow well up into upstate New York and northern New England, followed by another shot of chilly air. And then next week, it might start to get a little busier with weather systems moving eastward, though it looks like much of the activity will wind up being to our west. So, on the whole, with respect to precipitation, it looks relatively calm. And as far as temperatures are concerned, a little bit of, excuse me, a little bit below average as winter comes to an end and spring arrives on Tuesday. Don't forget, folks, tonight, the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast at 7:35 p.m. Back after being off for 5 days, right? We were off Thursday, for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Well, so that's 4 days. So we will be back tonight at 7:35 p.m. We'll see you then.